Jaguars have legendary visual drama, and its new I-Pace crossover has style by the truckload, but there are two classic elements missing: the signature long hood and a throaty performance growl, or any sound at all, really. If you haven't heard, I-Pace is Jag's first fully electric vehicle. In no way does it look or feel like a rookie effort. It will change perceptions about electrification and the brand.
Hard to do this story without mentioning Tesla. The brand has done an amazing job of raising acceptance to electric vehicles. However, there are a lot of new EVs, like the I-Pace, coming to market. Tesla will have competition.
Audi e-tron, BMW iX3, and Porsche Taycan are on their way. The I-Pace is easily $10,000 less than a Model X. This Jag's retail pricing starts at $71,500 with destination. I was invited to Jaguar's press launch in Portugal. The production car is a near copycat of the concept first shown at the 2016 LA Auto Show. The cab-forward design was a deliberate statement to stress there's no engine. It's eerie to see this logo and hear, well, pretty much nothing, unless you're backing up. Jaguar says the aluminum-rich structure is the most rigid chassis it makes. Adjustable air suspension is standard. Axles pass through the front and rear motors that produce a total of 394 horsepower and 512 pound-feet of torque. Putting the 90 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion battery in the floor provides a perfect 50-50 weight balance and an extremely low center of gravity. Much like laptop computer batteries, the 432 pouch cells are mounted in modules that restrict expansion from heat. The pack is liquid-cooled. It takes about 12 and a half hours to fully charge using a 240-volt home charger, and 80% battery juicing takes 40 minutes with commercial 100-kilowatt DC fast chargers.
I-Pace will be available in 3 different models: S, SE, and HSE. Obviously, the more letters, the fancier the model.
The first editions we're driving have lots of letters, so as you'd expect, it's the top cat, loaded with every option, including a full glass roof that's tinted but doesn't have a screen. I could get deep in the weeds about all the tech, but first, let's hit Portugal's roads. I-Pace has solid lane keep assist and adaptive cruise control, but it's not as extensive as GM's Super Cruise or Tesla Autopilot.
The Jaguar folks have told us that there's a lot of law enforcement out here in Portugal and we need to watch our speed, which is really hard because the I-Pace is so quiet. You just want to go a lot faster than you should.
Mostly all that's heard is wind rushing quietly over the body. Any electric motor whine heard when coasting is quite distant.
One thing kind of cool about the I-Pace, you can adjust the sound. Here's the normal acceleration. And now let's put it into more of a dynamic mode. Pretty cool, huh?
And if you're wondering, no, it's not possible to add different sounds like a cell phone ringtone. The route Jaguar has sent us on is quite long. The EPA rates the range of I-Pace to be 240 miles, and my best guess is I can cover 230 driving fairly hard. The computer considers driving style, topography, and temperature when estimating range.
No surprise, the I-Pace has very aggressive regen. Take your foot off the throttle, and it really slows down. Good for one-pedal driving.
I-Pace can be set so the car comes to a complete stop with no creep without any pressure on the gas pedal. Another mode provides the standard dynamic found in a gas-powered automatic transmission car, driver's choice.
Steering weight? About perfect.
I will say, visibility out the tiny rear window isn't all that great.
The dampers are adjustable. I'm in sport mode, so they're firmed up, and it's still pretty comfortable.
I-Pace is a very sleek machine. It's also an all-wheel drive crossover, and to prove its off-road chops, Jaguar has us raise the air suspension and points us away from the pavement. True, water and electricity don't usually mix, but, well, here I am. Jaguar claims I-Pace can wade in nearly 20 inches of water, just in case that's something you need to do on a regular basis. There are also some steep hills for this cat to claw. This first edition model has ADASR, or Adaptive Dynamics, Adaptive Surface Response, basically cruise control for off-roading. I-Pace is not going to perform like a Jeep Grand Cherokee, but will handle nearly everything a sane owner will push it on. Like this. Portugal's Algarve Portimaõ Circuit, 2.9 miles long with lots of elevation changes.
So collision avoidance off.
Yeah.
You're sure about that?
Yes.
I'm paired with Adriano Medeiros, a pro driver and instructor.
0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds?
Yes, 4.5 seconds.
That's a smidge quicker than a Model X 75D and looks like this. I get 3 hard laps.
It's hard to drive this without sound. Usually you have a motor to kind of help you.
That's right.
It's very silent.
You have to adapt yourself.
Pushed hard, Teslas are known to enter a protection mode so components don't overheat. I'm trying to figure out how long the Jag hangs in there.
So you can push this car on the track for long periods of time and it doesn't go into protection mode?
So we've been doing this event, we didn't have any problem. But the car is pretty reliable, as we've been doing this event for a month now, and we had no problem. It's really capable.
I have never driven this track. Adriano talks me through the lines so I can push the I-Pace as hard as possible. And it's around 85 degrees outside.
Weight balance of the car, the chassis being as stiff as it is. It's a very nice car to drive on the track, as you can see.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Okay, Tom, let's go now. It's still the right side here.
All right, let's see how fast we can get it on the straightaway
Right,
here.
let's go. Should I give you instructions?
Sure.
Let's go for it. Put your foot right down to the floor. Just keep your foot in, looking up ahead, where we've got the sign for braking, so you can just keep on going.
Okay.
We're doing 190 now. Just keep going, keep pushing. There we go, 200. Brake. Now off the brake, across your hands and wait. Now gently building up the speed to the cone there. Off we go. Stay on the right side.
That is amazing. That torque is really something.
The battery in the floor makes a difference.
You can really feel that low center of gravity.
That's right. The body of the car doesn't roll as much. The car is very stable and well balanced.
Brake torque vectoring helps too. From the outside, all that's heard is the car pushing the wind aside. All too quickly, my 3 laps are over.
Want to do one more lap?
Can we?
Let's do it. Getting there.
I like this guy. Obviously, he's not worried about the system reducing power to protect the motors. Few owners will punish their cars like this, but it speaks volumes about the drivetrain's endurance.
The handling of the car is really good. It is a full electric car. You take advantage of the torque you've got from the engine, and you are able with the throttle to transfer the weight wherever you want. It's good fun to drive.
It's great fun to drive. Hard to believe this is an SUV.
Let's return to the fact that I-Pace is a practical vehicle that seats 5. Instead of opening up the cabin to show how flat the floor is, Jag designers created a lot of storage nooks on a number of different levels. The center console, I'm told, is deep enough to handle 2 bottles of wine. Maybe those designers have been hanging out in Portugal too long, huh? Materials are rich and authentic. Nothing feels cheap in here. Seats are perfectly bolstered, though big drivers might be a bit snug. Jaguar's twin-screen interface is nearly identical to the one in Range Rover Velar, but seems improved. These buttons control both cabin temperature and, with a tap, the chair's venting or heat. The lower screen pretty much controls the climate system. Up top, this screen does the heavy lifting, including Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. It can be a chore to wade through the extensive menus. Jaguar says it's working to simplify the interface. Over-the-air updates can be done. The gauge cluster is also fully configurable to put what is ever needed front and center. There's also a head-up display.
Model X can be had with 3 rows. I-Pace, strictly a 2-row vehicle. There's definitely enough space for a family back here.
Knee, foot, and legroom are generous. All of the usual storage cubbies are here. The same multifunction dials up front are back here for climate and heated seats. To save power for range, I-Pace can automatically be set so that the climate control only works in zones where people are sitting. There's room under the seats for iPads and laptop computers. A note about aerodynamics, I-Pace doesn't need a conventional grille, but it offers three things: Jaguar identity, cooling for the battery, and a slot that directs air through this hollow section, up over the hood and roof, and then through these openings. It's so efficient, there's no need for a rear wiper. The wind takes care of clearing any rain.
I don't even know if there is a Costco in Portugal, so that test isn't happening.
While I-Pace is pretty tech-forward, the cargo hold is fairly conventional. Not to say it doesn't have all sorts of handy things that make life easier. It's very hard to find things to complain about with this car, so I'll gripe that the seats don't have a 40-20-40 split feature. The space is huge though. Because the British call the trunk the boot, the front here is not a frunk, it's a fruit. Appropriate, since it's only good for a 5-pound bag of oranges. What advantages does the Tesla Model X have? Well, those Falcon doors are a great visual. It's available with a third row, and the supercharger network is good for families that travel often. Jaguar has no dedicated charging network. But with about 240 miles of range, I never once felt in danger of running out of juice. Normally, I would say this feels like driving a normal car, but it's not. I-Pace is an extraordinary accomplishment. When looked at as a total package, it gets my vote for the most compelling vehicle Jaguar has ever done. It's polished, practical, stylish, athletic, and a joy to drive. If I-Pace doesn't tempt buyers to consider an all-electric vehicle, nothing will. Now back to charging infrastructure. I kept an eye out on the Navi screen for charging stations. It looked like there were enough, even in rural Portugal, to keep me feeling secure with some planning. Remember, most charging is done at home, so it's usually not the issue people think it is. If you're considering an electric car and live in a cold climate, range will be affected, sometimes considerably. That is the nature of battery technology. Oh, and a special thanks to Adriano for the perfect advice around the track and those extra laps he gave me.
All right.
Good. All good.
Hey, thank you very much.
No problem. It's a pleasure.
That was great fun.
Good.
Well, that's my look at the all-new Jaguar I-Pace. Really nice to have another solid EV choice. If you're in the market for an electric vehicle, I highly suggest you check this one out. That's Driven. I'm Tom Voelk.